Hey guys, if you are on schedule, today is Wednesday, March 25th, and you will be doing the Spanish-American War reading, The United States Becomes a World Power. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through this and feel free to follow along. If you have any questions about the reading, feel free to email me. Okay, so we're going to start right here at this little subheading. The Spanish-American War lasted only about 10 weeks in 1898. However, the war had far-reaching effects for both the United States and Spain. Causes of the war. The conflict had complex beginnings. By the 1890s, Cuba had unsuccessfully battled Spain for independence for many years. In 1895, the Cuban revolutionary José Martí led an expedition to the island, attempting to seize power from Spain. As a result of U.S. economic interests in Cuba, the U.S. government sought to stabilize the situation. An agreement was negotiated between the United States and Spain by which Cuba would become self-governing on January 1, 1898. Events derailed this plan. Following a January riot in Havana, which is in Cuba, President William McKinley sent the USS Maine to Havana to protect U.S. citizens and interests. On February 15th, an explosion sank the Maine, killing 266 men on board. On April 19th, Congress passed the Teller Amendment, which said that the United States would not establish permanent control over Cuba. The United States then declared war on Spain on April 25th. So as you can see, things escalated pretty quickly. The war. Although Cuba played a key role in the start of the war, battles between the U.S. and Spain took place around the world. So don't let this confuse you. In fact, the first hostilities took place in the Philippines, all right, which is in Southeast Asia, on May 1st in the Battle of Manila Bay. Fighting did not occur in Cuba until June. A key battle took place on July the 1st. One of the leaders of U.S. forces in this battle was Lieutenant Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, who led a cavalry regiment known as the Rough Riders. To stop right here, we are in the progressive era right now, and Theodore Roosevelt, who will become president, is known as one of the progressive presidents. Okay, so tomorrow you're going to be studying the building of the Panama Canal, which is done under the Roosevelt presidency, as well as the Roosevelt Corollary, which is developed under Roosevelt. So he is going to be president. In May, U.S. troops landed in Puerto Rico, where they faced little Spanish opposition. By August the 2nd, the Spanish and the Americans began to negotiate the end of the conflict, with the Spanish accepting the peace terms laid out by President McKinley. Only 10 weeks, right? Not a very long war. Hostilities formally ended on August the 12th, 1898. The Treaty of Paris, there's so many of these, ended the Spanish-American War, ending the Spanish-American War. It was signed on December the 10th. Spain gave up Guam, Puerto Rico, its possessions in the West Indies, and the Philippines in exchange for a U.S. payment of $20 million, which is unbelievable. The United States occupied Cuba, but, as provided in the Teller Amendment, did not try to annex it. Even still, the United States is going to gain quite a bit of territory from this, and that is going to feed into something called imperialism. The American Empire, as it were, and we will talk about that when you guys get back. Anyway, media coverage. The war helps fuel major changes in U.S. news media. U.S. newspapers covered the war with gusto. Technological innovations changed reportage and documentation. New technology that made it easier for newspapers to publish photographs allowed the papers to publish more illustrations and less text. Some reporters in the field in Cuba provided excellent first-hand reporting. Reporters who used telegraphs as the basis of their stories, however, typically relied on second-hand information. Major newspaper owners, including Joseph Pulitzer of the New York World and William Randolph Hearst of the New York Journal, viewed public interest in the war as an opportunity to sell newspapers. By the way, the progressive era is really when true news reporters and expose pieces and real investigative journalism is going to come about. That's why this is included here. The papers in a circulation war, featured sensational coverage and attention-grabbing photographs of events in Cuba. Although the cause of the explosion of the USS Maine was unknown, for example, New York newspapers blamed Spain. Historians once held that biased coverage of the war, often referred to as yellow journalism, was a cause of the war. Today, however, historians find less evidence for that claim. At the time of the war's outbreak, film was a new medium, and the conflict became a popular topic. Short films showed such scenes as servicemen exercising, Theodore Roosevelt and the Rough Riders on their horses, and funeral processions of dead soldiers. Motion pictures began to move from being seen as a fad to an accepted method of documenting historical events, even though some films depicting events from the war were actually reenactments. Aftermath. Victory in the Spanish-American War transformed the United States, a former colony, to an imperial power. There's that word, imperial. Many Americans saw this development as a natural part of the nation's manifest destiny, which you guys know, right? It's our destiny to conquer. The belief that the expansion of the United States was both right and inevitable, destiny. Opposition to this new role also existed. In June 1898, the American Anti-Imperialist League was formed to fight annexation of the Philippines. Its members included former President Grover Cleveland, industrialist Andrew Carnegie, author Mark Twain, and labor leader Samuel Gompers. All names that are important to us in U.S. history. A recognized war hero, Theodore Roosevelt instantly became credible as a political candidate. Roosevelt was elected governor of New York in 1898 and vice president of the United States in 1901. He became the youngest president to date later that year when President McKinley was assassinated just months into his second term. Okay, guys, that is your reading for today. We're not going to spend a ton of time, obviously, on the Spanish-American War. When you guys get back, we're going to jump right into World War I, but it is essential in understanding the imperialistic nature of our interests in World War I. So, with that said, I hope you guys are doing well. Miss seeing you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. So, thanks for watching.